This brings us to the first skydive of the program. In Dive 1, you work on flying in the boxman neutral position while your instructor flies around you, inspecting and perfecting your stance. Until your boxman position becomes second nature, Dive 1 should be repeated at the beginning of every training weekend. Or, if your drop zone offers higher jump altitudes, Dive 1 can be incorporated into the beginning of the other skydives. Decreases exposed surface area, streamlining a jumper to spill more air. The result is a faster fall rate and a downward movement relative to another jumper in neutral. In Dive 2, your instructor hovers in front of you in the neutral position, serving as a point of reference while you slowly translate up and down. The goal here is to adjust only your lower back angle for a very slow but precise up and down movement. Remember to stay at all times in the box position. In Dive 3, you work to stay level with your instructor who offers minute level problems. The goal here is to avoid having to make fast corrections by anticipating the problems and compensating early so that the corrections themselves can be minor. Drastically increases a jumper's surface area, resulting in a much slower fall rate and an even faster upward translation. Sharpening the chest angle toward 90 and tucking back the knee angle toward 45 drastically decreases a jumper's surface area, resulting in a much faster fall rate and an even faster relative drop. In Dive 4, you again work to stay level with your instructor, but this time by working your secondary fall rate adjustment angles into the movement as your instructor offers slightly more difficult level problems. The goal again is to avoid having to make fast corrections by anticipating the problems and compensating sooner. Lower, which sends more air out the back and results in a slow translation forward. For backward movement, the chest is flattened while the knees are tucked back. This causes the body to pitch head up, which sends more air out the front, resulting in a slow backslide. In either case, the overall addition of surface area at one end must equal the overall subtraction at the other for the movement to stay level with a person remaining in neutral. In Dive 5, your instructor again flies in the neutral position as a point of reference while you practice backing off and moving in. Take care not to focus on these new skills to the exclusion of those already developed. Flying in the box and staying level are still required at all times. Six, your instructor adds slight fall rate problems to the forward-backward drill. To move up while going forward, the added surface area of your shins and feet must exceed that taken away from your chest. Fall rate and forward-backward techniques are likewise combined to move down while going forward, or to move up or down while going back. An example of such a task would be taking grips, which is the goal of Dive 7, where your instructor continues to present fall rate problems while you become responsible, on each forward move, for taking grips. Above all else, it's important at this stage to resist the temptation to reach in any way at all out of our boxman non-adjustable angles, which can only result in a time-consuming backslide. The side of the chest is tucked back along with the left knee, while the right side of the chest and the right knee's angles are flattened. This causes the left side of the body to fall slightly lower, which sends more air out the right side and results in a slow translation to the left. To slide to the right side is tucked back while the left side is flattened. In Dive 8, your instructor again flies neutral as a point of reference while you practice sliding from side to side. Remember again the importance of building skills on top of each other. Body position, levels, and distance from your instructor must all be maintained while sliding from side to side. In Dive 9, your instructor adds fall rate problems to the exercise. In Dive 10, you again become responsible for grips. In 11, you and your instructor practice short turns with head turns for eye contact. Notice how some of the head's turning is in the direction of the turn and some isn't, but at no time is eye contact lost. In Dive 12, your instructor adds fall rate problems to the exercise. And in Dive 13, you again become responsible for grips. Remember, slow rotations with good form will result in more hookups than faster ones that sacrifice precision. These drills also require fall rate, forward, backward, and side-to-side control as turns are made past the center point of the dive. Another drill that integrates all the control movements is Dive 14, where you circle your instructor taking stair-step grips. Remember, more hookups will result from slow, close-in circling than from faster movement in a wider orbit. Your never reach discipline is put to the test again in Dive 15, our final two-way drill, where you again circle, this time taking star, side body, and caterpillar grips. The goal here, as in all the dives in the program, is to move your boxman body position around the sky without ever moving out of the position itself. In Dive 16, your group builds a line formation and takes turns individually flying from one side to the other. The objectives of the dive are simple, the most important one being to adjust yourselves to skydiving with two other people. This dive also gives you an opportunity to exercise our new fall rate policy, due to an individual flyer's tendency to drop below. If you're in the two-way line and find yourself seeing the backpack of the solo flyer, relax into a slightly faster falling position to bring him back into the dive. When it's time for your own solo move, anticipate the problem and see if you can solve it before the two-way has to. Likewise, be prepared to react before horizontal separation becomes a factor. In Dive 17, you practice some free-flying skills by rotating through a series of opposed wedges as each person takes his turn at the point of the wedge with a heading opposite the others. Remember to turn heads to see the entire group as opposed to focusing on grips. This will help fight the ever-present temptation to reach. In Dive 18, you again build a series of opposed wedges, but with individual go-around moves similar to Dive 16. The challenge in flying the two-way piece is in maintaining eye contact with the solo flyer as he goes around. The end person has the middle person blocking his view to contend with, while the middle person has to do a head switch. Again, the solo flyer must concentrate on staying close, both horizontally and vertically, always remembering that the slow move in close takes less time than a fast move that describes a wider arc. Dive 19 differs only in the direction of the individual go-around move, which changes the dive's primary focus from forward-backward control to side-to-side control. In Dive 20, You practice the star formation as individuals fly completely around to their original slot. This move will require more discipline of the solo flyer to stay close as speed builds up in the orbit and head switches of both flyers in the two-way. In Dive 21, you and your partner practice side body grips as you fly around your instructor who signals the brakes from formation to formation. Side body grips tolerate even less reaching than star or stair-step grips. Think about putting your nose in the instructor's ribs before closing hands on grips. Dive 22 is similar to 21, but with star and cat grips. On this dive, you and your partner look for the completed big picture and signal the brakes yourselves. Cats are one of the most delicate types of grips, so be sure to fly into place and stop completely before taking them. Dive 23 combines dives 21 and 22 into our first 4-point three-way dive. As the list of formations gets longer, so much the amount of time devoted to dirt dives. Dive 24 combines all the grips covered thus far, making for a brain-busting 8-point sequence. Remember again, our goal is to move our boxman body position around the sky without ever moving out of the position itself. In Dive 25, we add another jumper to the end of our opposed wedge to make a 4-way accordion. As on Dive 19, we drop one person off to go around to build another 4-way accordion. Whenever another jumper is added to a group's equation, the potential for difficulty multiplies, as does the opportunity for fun, if the group remembers to stick to the basics to solve what may appear to be very complex problems.